Tuesday morning. Welcome to the CBSN Minnesota Morning Update. I'm Jason DeRusha. All right, what are you doing? Are you shoveling? Are you letting it melt? I did a little shoveling yesterday, but not much. I think we're hoping for the warm weather to do the work for us. This is what we saw down in Mankato. They got a foot of snow. Yeah, you're not going to let that melt. You're going to get that snowblower out and certainly clear off the sidewalks, right? I know in my neighborhood, kids are going to the bus stop today. And so, well, now I feel bad. Maybe I should have shoveled the sidewalk. Sorry, kids. All right, fine. I talked myself into it. I'll do it when I get home. But I'm waiting on the driveway, that's for sure. It's going to start melting today. Cloudy day on tap. Most of us got 2 to 4 inches, something like that. Hard to measure the snow when it's wet like that, right? It just kind of compacts on top of itself. But we'll get melting starting by noon. We'll be above freezing soon enough. This afternoon, close to 40. It will be cloudy, though, not a lot of sun. And then continued warming throughout the week towards another perfect weekend. Our timing has been very good on nice, warm, sunny weekends. So that's why we feel a little like it's spring, right? In our free time, it's felt like it. Let's talk about this because it is spring break season. Vaccines are going out. Hope is on the horizon, but the CDC is urging Americans to pump the brakes when it comes to spring break plans this year. Boy, Texas and Florida already overflowing with spring breakers. Yeah, some doctors worry that they could fuel another spike in COVID-19 cases. Of course, the reality is a lot of college kids have already had COVID, and maybe that makes them feel more comfortable to travel. What about you, though? We know most families canceled their spring break plans last year. I was going to go to New York City and Boston. And boy, New York was a super hot spot at this time last year, so we canceled that trip. We have canceled spring break again this week. Not this week. Ours was going to be the last week of the month, but we canceled it. So I wonder what you're doing. Are you going anywhere? Are you staying home? Are you considering traveling? Maybe you have a vaccine and you feel good, like it's time to go. Boy, if you had that vaccine, why not, right? Let us know what you think. Where are you at on spring break? Leave a comment on Facebook. We'll share a few of your thoughts in just a moment. Jury selection continues today. The jury for former officer Derek Chauvin's trial is already well over halfway filled. They've been moving along at perhaps a surprisingly efficient rate, but his attorney is asking for changes. This publicity, we knew on Friday that when the city had a press conference announcing a record settlement with George Floyd's family, that it was going to be trouble for the criminal case. Chauvin's attorney asked for the trial to be delayed, asked for a change of venue to be moved out of Minneapolis. The fear is that the jury could be influenced. You know, if the city writes this big check, that must mean that Derek Chauvin did something wrong. The state said, frankly, they're not sure which way it cuts, if it cuts in favor of the defense or in favor of the state. And the judge interrupted and said, the problem is it does cut. Doesn't really matter which way it goes. The judge said he will call the 7 jurors chosen last week back for more questioning to see what they know about this. Gopher men's basketball team. Hey, do you got anybody out there know anything about coaching a college basketball team? Because you could make $2 million a year if you do. Richard Pitino had a good 8 seasons here in Minnesota, but he didn't win. He didn't win. His team this year, which, you know, I mean, Pitino's been dealt some bad hands with injuries, and, I mean, this year with COVID, just a rough go. But still in 8 seasons, his record, he lost almost twice as many games as he won. Athletic director Mark Coyle said, look, we get it. We need new leadership. And so he'll hold a news conference at 10 this morning. Kind of the bummer is that Richard Pitino is, by all accounts, a great guy. And last night, he tweeted this picture with his kids, saying, always wanted to represent Minnesota the right way on a daily basis with class and integrity. Thank you for a special 8 years. Gophers have started a national search for his replacement. And he did that, right? He did that, but the job at a Big Ten university is to win. And so he's got to got to get a coach that wins more. We'll see. Let's talk about student athletes in COVID-19. New recommendations from the Department of Health saying that all young people in sports should be tested every week and then get a COVID test 3 days before games. Kids in-person learning and involved in other extracurriculars should test every 2 weeks through the end of the school year, and their families should get tested along with their kids. So the last time I got tested, I brought my kids. They're in school for hybrid learning. One is in youth sports, and so we'll be getting tested. It's free. It's easy. Go get a test. 1 year into the pandemic, Minnesota's health commissioner is reflecting on the year that really not many people saw coming, that's for sure. WCCO's Liz Collin with a really interesting one-on-one interview with Jan Malcolm. Malcolm says she understands the frustrations from so many lives upended, but it's been the loss of nearly 7,000 Minnesotans from COVID-19 that weighs most on her mind. Malcolm, Liz said, hey, what do you think we did wrong? And she said the first mistake was underestimating the role people played in all of this who were showing no symptoms of the virus.
Thought the role of asymptomatic spread was quite low. And now we know that latest data out of CDC is fully 40 to 50% of the transmission is from people that don't even know they have it.
During the fall surge, Malcolm also thinks they waited a little too long to close restaurants, pause sports, and tell people to rethink their holiday plans. Liz also asked about the decision to close schools and if months of mitigation strategies in the state work. So interesting answers, good questions from Liz. Full interview at WCCO.com. Oscar nominations are out, and for a lot of us, this becomes like a list of movies that we should check out. As always, if you make a movie about old Hollywood, you get an Oscar, at least an Oscar nomination. Mank is the leader in the clubhouse, telling the story of Citizen Kane screenwriter Herman Mankiewicz. 10 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Gary Oldman. Of course, having the most nominations doesn't translate often into having the most wins. So some of the other Best Picture nominees, if you're looking for, all right, what should I stream? Here they are. Judas and the Black Messiah, Promising Young Woman, that is one that I want to see, and Nomadland, which was the winner at the Golden Globes. I also saw The Trial of the Chicago 7. That's a good one, too. For the first time, 2 women are up for Best Director. 9 of the 10 acting nominations went to people of color. You'll remember the Oscars So White controversy from a couple of years ago. Not the case this year. The Academy Awards will be handed out on April 25th. Historic finish to the Iditarod in Alaska. Dallas CV won his 5th race. That tied a record. Dallas is 34. He's from Alaska. Crossed the finish line early yesterday morning. Normally it's a 1,000-mile race. They scaled it back to 850 miles this year because of the pandemic.
And I've dreamed about this my whole life, and now to actually go from that, to see it happen, to realize it, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it hasn't hit me yet, but it will.
It's pretty mellow about it, right? Winning number 5. The excellence here runs in the family. CV's father, Mitch, was born in Minnesota. He's one of us. He won the dog race 3 times. So there you go. St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow. Hey, by the way, happy St. Urho's Day to our Finns. If you don't know the story of St. Urho, you should do a Google search. It is hilarious. Some crazy Minnesotans were upset about all the Irish getting all the love for St. Patrick's Day, so they made up a fictional saint, St. Urho, and a fictional story about St. Urho's saintly skills. But we salute our Finns in our audience today. In Wisconsin, there's a town called New London, and in New London, you're like, well, do we care about St. Patrick's Day? No. So we changed the name to New Dublin. Get it? New Dublin, New London, just outside of Green Bay. I mean, they have a relatively large Irish-American population. It can't be that big. There are only 7,446 people who live in New London. But these goofs put on green coats, little black hats. They found just the shortest people who live in New London and said, you're now a leprechaun, and you get the green hammer. And it looks like a guy named Vern made that sign in his garage in New London, New Dublin. You'd think they could come up with a better sign than that. But maybe that's the charm. Maybe that's the charm. So they do this every year, and good stuff. Okay, our talker today is spring break. And should we do it MTV style? Spring break! Lake Havasu! You can tell you're Gen X if your vision of spring break are those crazy MTV specials, MTV spring break. Wubba, wubba, wubba. All right, here we go. What are we doing? Adam Hoffman. Adam is spending a spring break by staying home and still wanting a hug. I relate to that, Adam. Got to get that vaccine. Becca not going anywhere. Son spending the night with the fully vaccinated grandparents. That's good. He's having a spring break, and Becca's having a break. Everybody's happy. I like that. That's pretty fun. Simon staying home. Way too many people already not wearing masks. Saving up for going back to NYC next December. Nice. Arlene staying home till the second vaccine. It's the right thing to do. I mean, seeing all the people traveling. We were considering going to Mexico. We wanted a place where you could be outdoors and not have to go to crowded spots, but then you saw the virus flare up in Mexico again, the different variants, and you're like, hey. So we're not doing it. We're not doing it. All right. Is that it? I think that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the update, and we'll do this again at the same time tomorrow.